hosts, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrack. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Lose, Strike King Lures, Bass Cat Boats, Ducket Fishing, Spro, AFCO, Big Bite Baits, Sunline, and TH Marine. BTL coming at you. Good Tuesday, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Yes, we have a special guest in studio, Bradley Hallman, in the house once again. And folks, real quick, I know we were scheduled to have Tim Horton on today, but unfortunately, I got a call late last night, and Tim made a post on his social media. His mom is suffering some heart issues, and she's in ICU, so he is going to be unable to be on the show today, and our thoughts are with the Horton family. I know it's a very, very difficult time to take care of family members, friends, anybody that you have that's in the hospital because of the whole visiting thing. You can't go in there. You can't be with them. So our thoughts are definitely with the Horton family. And once things get better for Tim and his family, we will get Tim on BTL right here. So in the meantime, we're going to step up and kind of move ahead. And Bradley was gracious enough to step in and come in studio and talk about all kinds of stuff that you have going on. Welcome, Bradley.
Yep. So close to the house, not far away. I was actually glad to get the text message last night. It was easy for me to fill in. No problem.
All right.
In the meantime, we have more cancellations on the tournament front. Yesterday, BASS sent out an email to the nation presidents at the Bass Nation Regional, which was the May 31st on Toledo Bend, postponed.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because they have not yet postponed what was supposed to be the second Central Open on Neely Henry in Alabama, but that tournament actually takes place before the Central Regional that was just postponed. So you think we'll be fishing Neely Henry here in 3 weeks, Mr. Hallman?
I don't know. What do you think?
No.
I would say no.
I think you are going to have a very, very busy fall.
Yep. You know, there was an announcement, not an announcement, but there was a release from a radio station in Orange, Texas, an AM radio station.
Yeah.
KOGT 1600 AM. Rocking the oldies. I have no idea. Anyway, they had a guest on their show announce that the Sabine River event was going to be rescheduled.
Yeah.
And they also said that the Lake Fork event was going to be rescheduled on the Elite Series. So now you're going to have guys on the Elite Series that have only fished for 2 days all the way probably through the month of July.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But probably the right thing to do.
Yeah. Who knows?
2 days. Who would imagine? 2 days. Some guys have fished only 2 days.
I know I'm in that boat.
That's it.
I fished 2 days.
Yeah.
That's what I fished.
Yeah.
Tournaments.
Right.
But
you have been spending a lot of time on the water, Bradley.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of other things. A lot of other things.
Most notably, what did you call it? The Red River Shootout?
Absolutely,
yeah, so
we called it the Red
Todd
River Shootout.
Castledine and Jason Bonds, who are very well known. Everyone's getting to know who Todd Castledine is, and Jason Bonds, very well known there in that kind of East Texas region, all across Texas. And then they took on Bradley and Andrew Upshaw.
That's correct. The Red River Shootout, Oklahoma versus Texas. And in typical fashion, the Texans were damn cheaters. Per usual, it never fails. It's just like in recruiting in football. It's insane.
Cheaters, huh?
Dude,
don't give it away yet.
We had scales, and we had an agreement. They went and purchased a Rapala scale to match the Rapala scale that was going to be in our boat. Do you think that's what they used to weigh their fish?
I guess not.
They weighed their first fish with it? Nah, no more after that. So it was still a 5 fish limit, but since they were spawning, we knew that we'd be targeting some big females, potentially some 6 or 7 pound females. Didn't want to really put them in the box right now, especially on a lake that we all really think very highly of at Texoma. And so we decided that we would weigh them, still do the 5 best, but throw them back so that we didn't pull females off the nest. And after it was over, I'm wishing we'd have brought 5 to the table because they had all kinds of excuses.
Didn't you say you think they caught the same fish twice and
I know
weighed
they
it?
did, and it weighed different. And
How about that?
Yeah.
Is that not?
Yeah, and they needed it both times. And the second time they weighed it weighed 3 ounces more than it did the first time, and they were just like, "Oh, good, it's a 3-6 now."
And then I know, and then wasn't it? So I was trying to figure out how it was going, or maybe it was the day after, and Castledine wouldn't stop fishing because he knew he was down. So he just they didn't. You guys, you made some rookie mistakes though. You got to put an end time on it. You got to put some rules on it. You got to take a picture of the fish with the scales. I mean, if you're gonna call it the Red River Shootout,
they drove almost 4 hours to meet us on. They put in on the Texas side. We put in on the Oklahoma side. We started on the Oklahoma side of the lake. Upshaw had to drive 3 hours. I drove 2. And one would think that if you started at daylight, common sense would say, hey, tournament's probably going to end about 4 or 5. No, it was 6:01, and I'm calling Todd going, how much longer are we going to fish? The sun is setting. It's like gone in the horizon. Hey, man, probably just a little while longer. His answer to me was maybe another hour. Or about 15 minutes.
So you knew they didn't have them.
He was locked down on one. I knew he was. He was sitting there thinking, well, if I can catch this in 5 minutes, it's over in 5 minutes.
So what's the vibe between you guys? Because you, Andrew Upshaw, Todd Castledine, I know you're kind of rooming with Scott Martin this year,
right?
Doing those videos, which should have been getting pumped out in content, but you're kind of all under that same umbrella now, where the tour, the pro circuit has fished 3 events. You all fished the pro circuit last year. You're all fishing all 8 opens this year,
right?
And all 3 really upping your YouTube content and videos. So what have the conversations to try to stay relevant with you 3 guys have been like, and how you're tackling this process to remain relevant and still be kind of a viable asset in the industry?
So we're all just kind of using each other. We use each other to build off each other. We use each other to bump ideas off of each other. We use each other to, just like we're mentioning them on this show and their YouTube channels, they do the same for me. Andrew has some spots at Bass. Todd has obviously a huge following in Texas. The 3 of us together are bigger as one than as a whole. Does that make sense? I mean, none of us are Van Dam, but the 3 of us together are pretty dang big in this industry. One of us by ourselves, not a giant, but the 3 together much larger.
Strength in numbers.
Correct. And we're all kind of in the same boat. There's not a lot of guys took off to do what we're doing. What's Matt?
I want to get into this. So Brad is learning. We haven't talked about this on air because this is kind of just an open topic day between us 3, right, Mark?
Well, we have a lot of business to take care of.
But I want to get to this right off. So Brad, I mean, he's a genuinely good guy. Can get a little fired up at times, and I have never seen a man get so fired up over malfunctioning technology.
That's part of it, man.
I'm driving the truck the other day and the phone rings. He said, I got 4 kids coming in saying, Daddy, are you okay? And it's because I'm in my office screaming at a stupid laptop. He's like, I want to crush this thing with a sledgehammer. I said, dude, don't do that. I said, take a breath. I said, listen. I said, I've worked for Mark Jeffries for like 12 years now. I said, I didn't know anything. I said, Jeffries' response to fix everything is either reboot it or figure it out. I said, so I understand you're going through the learning curve. I said, Brad, you're at the point of your video editing and YouTube career where it's like you have never bass fished before. You buy a high-end bass boat 3 months ago and you're wondering why you're not going out catching 20-pound bags. I'm like, it's a learning process. So I mean, is this the most frustrated that you could ever remember being as far as trying to figure out something new?
100%. The only thing I will say this is the saying that John Wayne had, that life is hard, but it's really hard if you're stupid. I'm pretty darn stupid when it comes to that computer.
He's so
it
hard
drives
on
me
himself.
nuts.
He calls himself the dumbest dyslexic redneck in Oklahoma. That's a direct quote from Brad. I was like,
That is harsh,
I'm like,
Brad.
no, dude. I said you're gonna hit those glitches. I said I hit those. So Brad, he did bring his computer in, so you're gonna have to look at that after the show, Mark. What I think is happening. Here's what I think is happening. I think Brad is trying to learn how to throw a bait caster, but the spool tension knob is jacked up. So you can. This is an analogy, a comparison. So could you imagine? Like, okay, I learned how to throw a bait caster with a Browning Vectra.
Mm-hmm.
That sucker was designed to dead stick because you get it about 15 feet out, you're picking out a bat. That's how I learned. After that, like a 5600 was a piece of cake. Everything else was easy. You're learning right now, you got a spool tension knob that's jacked up, and you're using like 25-pound big game that's been on the spool for 5 months.
It is so.
So you got to get new line, a new spool tension knob on his computer. He'll be good to go then, Mark.
We'll get you taken care of, Bradley.
Dude, it's so bad.
Hey, if I could get through the mess that we had going on yesterday, we'll get through it.
All right.
And the thing about it is, been there, done that, been through it. Somebody that has wanted to chuck the laptop, the computer, the mouse,
Have you
everything
ever done
else.
that?
Chucked it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
When did
Yeah.
what'd you chuck? Have you
Years
chucked a
ago.
computer?
Years ago.
An actual computer? You threw a computer?
Yeah.
God, it would make me feel
What?
so good.
Like-
if I could
Yeah.
do that. I
So
would
you're
feel so
editing?
good.
Were you at a tournament or?
No, it was actually at UPS at work. I got in trouble. No, because what happened was this was the very first year that we went to a cost analysis and budgeting base. I mean, folks, for years, UPS would just go, yeah, go deliver, and not worry about the money. Mm-hmm. We had no budget. We had no nothing. And then all of a sudden they decided, wow, man, we need to start tracking what we're spending. So the very first year they came out with this, it was antiquated. It was a disaster. And we were up there. It was 3:30 in the morning trying to get this thing uploaded. And back then they were old IBM. Do you remember the old IBM green screen monitors?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I chucked. I did. I was done. I had been there for like 46 hours straight. I had the growth. I smelled. I mean, it was just
It's like the copier in Office Space.
kind of, yeah. So I did. I was working with a guy named Joe Wilkins, and I said, dude, I've had enough. I can't take it. I've had enough. And I picked up the green screen and just chucked it against, we had cinder block walls in the office.
Wonderful.
What about you?
bad.
Have you ever done that? Have you ever chucked a rod and reel? Broke a rod?
Yes.
Multiple times?
No, once.
What led to that?
A complete beatdown by the entire field.
In an Elite Series.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't Elite Series. It was one that they completely destroyed them on when all records were broken, and I think I was weighing in
Falcon?
12 pounds a day. Yep.
Oh, you didn't have... Yo, wow.
And actually, I'd just come from the week before fishing FLW that I'd lost by 1 ounce. $150,000 per second. 1 ounce. The exact week before I drove from Alabama to Falcon, and it was everybody had 25. I mean, 25 a day is what it took just to get paid, and I could not catch. It didn't matter where you threw. I mean, Mark, you went fishing afterwards, right?
Yeah.
You just threw a Carolina rig around, caught 30 pounds, right?
Yeah, that's when I got Harold Allen to beg for a Carolina rig.
I got so frustrated. Somewhere during the middle of the day 2, when I hadn't had anything, and I fire this DD22 out there, and about halfway through the cast, that the old fluorocarbon, and the crankbait keeps flying, and you just got a rod. I didn't say anything. I just took the rod, I broke it over my knee, I threw it in the floor, and then when I saw the rod and reel laying in the floor, I was like, I'm not even going to try to. Then I'll just try to fix it or do something. So I grabbed the whole thing and I threw it in the lake. So
Oh yeah, that was not a good one. You finished.
Not good.
You finished 102nd. That was when there was like 105 on the Elite Series, and you had 31.3. So you still had over 15 pounds a day.
It was terrible. I mean, how did I go down there and lay that?
What'd your co-angler say?
He never said a word.
What did he have? Did he catch him?
Probably. I don't even remember. I don't even
Interesting.
recall. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Some people on the instant feedback real quick, they're asking about A-Mart, and I want to just read a couple sentences from an email that I got. Robbie Stanford who's real good friends with Amart, sent me an email last night. It said, "Hey guys, hung out by the fire with my dear friend Amart tonight, Monday night. We listened to your old show from 2007 and his win on the Delta. It was great to hear him with the win and listen to the show. As you know, his second brain surgery was this past Wednesday. It took him 7 days after his surgery in early April before he and I were out catching big spots again. I think we will be strong enough to get out there soon. I was just thinking that maybe you guys might be able to get him on when he gets stronger."
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to try and do, but I'll have to get with Leslie, and we'll do everything we can. But I really, really appreciate Robbie sent that in, and it sounds like he is he's a fighter, and he's going to do what's necessary. But also, hopefully, he can get back on the water soon, Bradley.
Yeah, he's one of the guys that's like super liked by every person that has ever met him. I mean, he's just so nice, and of course he's a phenomenal fisherman. But
yeah,
he's a great guy, dude. He is just a great person. His whole family is. He's actually the guy that he taught me how to fly a kite with the kids.
What?
Yeah, the correct way.
What did I say? Everybody's got an Amart story.
Yeah.
Everybody. No one can say he's a nice guy without having a story.
You didn't know how to fly a kite?
Well, listen to this. The correct way. I said.
Okay.
So we were down in Florida in between tournaments where we had some kind of layoff or something, and I don't know what I was doing down there. Maybe just having breakfast with some of the campers. They were all the campers, and I was down there in the morning. Chris Lane's kids, Aaron and Aaron's kids, and myself took all the kids to lunch, went and had lunch, and then Aaron was like, "We're going to go fly kites, man. You want to come, fly kites?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, I ain't got nothing else to do, but hanging out with kids is my style anyway." So we roll to the park, big football field kind of type area, and he starts grabbing rod and reels out. And I'm like, "What are we doing with the rod and reels?" He's like, "You never flown a kite?" And I'm like, "Not with a rod and reel." And he's like, "Oh, dude, this is the deal. Dude, it is the deal."
Oh, yeah.
Like braided line?
Oh, yeah. Just a light braid, like a 20-pound test braid, and just fill the spool just as full as you can get it on a big spool reel, and just hold that rod tip up in the air. There's no having to run with it or anything. You just click the bell and hold your tension, and it just pulls out like a fish, and you can send it all the way to the moon, and then you just click your bell, and then it's just like, if it's real windy, it's like a really good fish on.
For a guy with a YouTube channel?
Oh, that is a great idea. Correct.
I
lives in Oklahoma where the wind blows
every single day.
Dude, it is the deal.
10 to 20.
So now, with all of my herd of kids that I have, that's how we fly kites. I just line them up with rods and reels.
Well, with the wind blowing out of the south all the time, you can just do it off the back porch, can't you, at the house?
Power lines.
Fly it over the field?
Power lines.
Really?
You have to get on the other side of the power lines to do that. Usually we just go down at the bottom in the driveway and send them up.
Yeah. That was cool. I had actually done that when I was a kid. My dad had a ocean rod and reel, and there was a baseball field that was right by our house called Spud Field, and we used to take those deep sea fishing rods, and that's how we would fly them.
Maybe it was a California thing.
I don't know, but yeah, that's what we did. Yep. I was like 8-9 years old.
Yep. I learned that from Aaron.
Very cool. Yeah, you're right, Matthew. Everybody does have an Amart story. You're right. All right, big stuff going on with the BFE?
The BFE, we've got the last prototype coming, and we have a color contest that we are announcing.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that. The banners are on basszone.com. The banner is actually below if you're watching on the BTL page of basszone.com. There's a banner right below the feed that will open up another window.
Another page. Here's the deal. Do not submit color name submissions to the BTL Facebook page, my Instagram, Bradley's Instagram, the instant feedback. What Big Bite has actually done is make a dedicated page for this. So you put in your email address.
Meaning this contest is legit, because if it was up to Matt and I's Instagram.
Yeah. We needed, because, it's coming from multiple different sources, so we needed a home for all these to live. And this was the whole deal of this was following this process from bait creation that Brad has never done. We won't go through it. We've done a whole show on this thing, but from creation all the way through to market. And one of the things we wanted to do is involve the BTL viewers, which was to create a color. The winning color, the contest ends May 6th, so get your colors in. You need a name and what the color of the bait, the BFE, what you want. And you can see when you go to that page, it'll tell you could do sparkles, laminates, swirls, all sorts of stuff. But also kind of look at some of the colors. We have standard colors that are coming out too. I think we're going to have 10 colors in this?
I think we have 9.
9 plus then the viewers.
So
all of those live on that page. So click on that link. All it is you put in the bait name, the colors that you want in your email, and then at the end of May 6th, so go through and pick the color to be the viewer color. Then you get 500 of them, which will last a long time because Brad designed the bait to be durable.
Can you enter more than once? Somebody was asking.
I knew that was coming. I have no idea.
I don't have the answer to that either. I don't see why you couldn't.
I don't know. I just added the banner on the live feed page. I forgot to put the link in, so the link will be there after the show.
If you're listening on YouTube, just go to basszone.com. It's the big banner at the top. You can go to my Instagram. Bradley will have it out on his Facebook and Instagram after this, and then it will also be on the BTL Facebook page. So click it, submit it, have a chance, and hey, we're also going to have the winner on BTL.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Hey, real quick, dude, I just got slammed with volunteers yesterday after the request that I threw out there, Matthew. Had like 50, 60 people submit. I kind of had to cut it off. I even got more submissions this morning. But I do have my 2 volunteers, and we are going to roll this thing out. Hopefully next week. We're going to test it this week on Wednesday, so I greatly appreciate all the feedback from everybody.
Doing some game contest thing or something with viewers.
I'm giving back to the fans is what I'm doing.
Oh, if it's anything like I've heard, it's got like a 50% success rate.
Well, the 2 volunteers that I spoke with yesterday are all in. They're like, that's freaking cool.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
So it's just a creative way to give back to the people that make this show successful. All right? Simple as that. I'm trying to give back. I'm trying to be creative. I'm trying to do stuff that other people are not doing. What's wrong with that, Matthew?
Nothing.
You're skeptical about the whole situation.
Viewer submitted jigs. What do you think about those?
You like those, Bradley?
I'm just snooping around the studio.
No, I do that. I do that.
Show's going on.
We got a box of we got stuff that Maynard sent us behind us. They got the original Jimmy Houston Red Man spinner bait. We got original wiggle warts. We got wake baits. We got custom. What do we got all back here? Yeah, we got the Witty Outdoors custom wake baits. We have custom painted BDS 3s that aren't made anymore. Chatterbaits with Brian Thrift on the package.
And I still don't have the P.O. box. I need to work on that.
A color selector.
A color selector.
That came from a viewer.
Did it?
Yeah.
I haven't seen one. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, it's vintage, man. It's been used, too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the old Kenyon Hill's dad designed that, didn't he? Lauren Hill.
Dr. Lauren Hill.
Dr. Lauren Hill.
We have an interesting YouTube question. I'm going to have to hold the mic, though, just the way, because the boom mics still haven't come in.
Sorry.
He said, I'm going through such a slump that I almost want to give up bass fishing. This is Scott. He said, do you or any of the pros go through this, and how do you overcome it? Because right now, I suck. Please help.
Oh, jeez.
I feel like that one needs to be addressed.
Everybody has been in this, and he's not the first one to ask this question. It gets asked quite a bit. I know that everybody goes through it, and the answer is not a good answer. No one likes to hear it because there's no snake oil in this, but the answer is that you just have to keep fishing. You have to fish and fish your way through it.
You try new stuff, or do you keep beating your head against the wall till you break through?
What breaks it through is finally you just go, and the odds are that eventually you keep going, that the good days coming, and it kind of picks you up and gets your mind off of it. It's more that's in your mind than it is anything, and so you're just not making good decisions and doing different things.
What's the longest you've sucked?
Usually it is because anglers are being too hard on themselves. That's what starts it. At any level. That's where it starts. It starts on being too hard on yourself. Your expectations and stuff are just too high for what you're trying to, it's, and quite honestly, for most, fishing is still a fun pastime, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And it's great to have expectations and stuff. I'm not saying that, but just back off on some of the pressure that you're putting.
You wouldn't
on
happen to
yourself.
have any videos where you go out and suck coming up soon, would you?
Oh, I made one last night. I was up till 3:30 in the morning. I hit render. And speaking of suck, and the computer locked up on me at render.
Bradley.
At 3:30 in the morning.
Brad's in a
But-
situation where he's rendering a video where he sucked on the water,
Yep.
and then his system locked up.
Yep,
So
so-
if that answers your question, we've all been there.
Jeffries and I went on a fishing trip to American, which this guy sent us to. He wanted us to scout it out for one of his.
Oh, we
one-on-one.
scouted, didn't
It's
we,
a
Bradley?
good lake. It's
We
got a lot of
scouted.
history. I've caught him out.
Yeah.
Do you not admit it looks great?
It looks amazing.
You
and
talked to someone who said he's caught him out of there.
I think that we may have just been there on the wrong day.
Well,
But
that's the lake that I went to.
you can ask him. He's in the back of the boat the entire time going, they don't live here. They don't live here. They don't live here. What's the audible Hallman? They don't live here. What's
Yeah.
your audible Hallman?
Yeah.
I
all
called Brad and
day.
said, well, I just wasted my day at some lake. And Brad's like, oh, really? Like, I send people there all the time and they catch 7-pounders. And I'm like, well, I just fished for 5 hours and never had a bite. He's like, you should have done this. And I was like, that's exactly what I did. And he's like,
I don't know about that.
I don't know.
There's not many fish in that lake. So when I say they catch 7-pounders, it's kind of like a T-bird deal. You catch good ones, but you don't catch a lot of fish.
yeah, but it's 60 degrees in the spring.
I know. But we went to it's called American Horse, right?
Yes.
American Dead Horse.
We called it, Mark and I was thinking about naming the video Dead Horse, American Dead Horse, but Mark and I were calling it American Dead Horse.
Did you see
all the way
bait
through.
and stuff?
Dude,
No!
it was dead. The Dead Sea.
Really?
Yes.
You didn't see anything
But it's a
on
great
the
video
electronics?
because Mark and I videoed us driving out there. I've got all kinds of footage.
Deep
and
grass,
stuff.
standing timber, clear water?
Absolutely. I think we should go back and have you should do a one-on-one there with somebody in sight fish. That's what I think. It's a gorgeous. If they live there, they got to be on the bed right now. You should
The
be able to see
first, the last time I went, I've been a couple times, and I caught some. There's a dude, like it's kind of like out in the boonies, and there was a guy around the lake that was shooting pigs out of a chopper
Yeah.
while we were on the lake.
That's awesome stuff right there.
It was cool because they buzz around the lake, and you look up, and here's a guy with it was like an automatic because it was like doo, 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 doo. And then they buzz down and they doo, 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 doo,
See,
doo.
that's some of the cool stuff the Texans have taught us right there. Not how to use the wrong scale, but how to shoot pigs out of a helicopter. That's great stuff.
All right. I want to go to the instant feedback. Phil Manchu has a pretty interesting question for you two. You have 3 things: spot lock, side imaging, or power poles. Which one can you not live without?
Whew. I can tell you right now that the side scan I can do without. So now it's going to be between the spot lock and the power poles.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say power poles, hands down, for me personally. Now every angler's not going to be this way. It's going to depend on their style of fishing. But 9 times out of 10, I'm in 6 foot or less of water. And if my poles reach, I don't use spot lock anyway because it's always stirring up the water and stuff. I'm taking power poles. It's pretty easy for me.
All right, Matthew.
Spot lock.
Why?
The other day I was like, holy cow, I've used my power poles like 10 times today. I mean, I use them a lot, like when you need it and you use it, but my style is a lot more, like I like most time of the year, like to go, trying to learn the ways of Hallman recently, but I like to go to the clear end and structure fish and offshore,
I'm with Creed.
wacky worm.
I'm with Creed on this deal with you of acting like you're the beginner and you're just learning. And
He's a stud.
you have been in the boat and around the best anglers in the world for the last 15
But that
years of your
doesn't
life.
matter. You can watch.
It is time for you to
can
quit
watch
pretending like you
just
don't know
'cause
what's
you
going
watch-
on.
Listen, if you're going to consider, this is no BS. If you're going to consider bass fishing a sport, if you're going to consider bass
Creed said
fishing a
this.
sport,
Creed told me the other day, he said, if he doesn't have it figured out now, then he's never going to get it
Listen,
figured out
if
with the background
you-
you got.
consider bass fishing a sport, then every equipment trainer should be able to play in the NHL. Every ball boy should be able to hit because they've seen how many batting practices. They've seen all the practice. They've seen how it all goes down. there's a big difference. And for some reason, people think just because you've seen fishing and been close to it, you're automatically good at it. What is the one thing in fishing? I'm going to get on a soapbox here. What is the one thing in fishing that makes the difference? It's decision making. And the only way you can get good at decision making is to make decisions. I tell this to guys all the time. They're like, hey, I want to jump in the opens. I want to jump in the coasters. What do? I say, make decisions.
You got to see how those decisions were made for all those years.
Right, but it's different between seeing the decision and making it. It's someone else's head. You don't know what went through their head, even though they said it, that allowed them to make that decision.
You saw the process. Am I not right, Mark? I mean, he was running around with Harold everywhere.
100%.
You watched 100 guys on the Elite Series stop on a lake. You knew the pregame of what it was supposed to be like, what the conditions were, what was probably going to happen. Then you watched all the guys come to the meetings. You visited with all them, what they thought they could and couldn't, the ones that sandbagged. And then you went out the first day and you followed a bunch of random people around that were supposed to catch them, right? And that's how that works.
If you want to know the one thing I've learned the most.
Then by day 3, you're on the guys catching them. By day 4, you're on the juice, dude.
The one thing that I've learned the most, rooming with Rojas and all that stuff, practice and a game plan typically is way more of a shit show than people would ever understand.
100% agree.
Watch your language, son.
I'm sorry.
You need to apologize.
I apologize.
That is not good. We take great pride in not using that kind of language on this show.
It is.
Don't watch my YouTube then with Mark in the back.
Jeez.
Yeah, you got bleeped out like 9 times in Jeffrey's YouTube.
That was not BTL Bass Talk Live, though.
We'll redo it.
Thank you.
One thing that I have learned from covering this, it is way more chaos during practice than people think. People think that they go out, they have a game plan, they catch them, they know this is what's going to go down. There's a lot of times where the best guys in the world are coming back going, I don't know how I can catch a limit. I got 2 bites today. I'm not sure what to do. I'm spun out. They're staying up, looking at map work, or they're saying, I'm just going to go wing it. But the one thing is, they always come in with 5 on the tournament day. That's the one thing that has really kept me from getting spun out during practice.
His comparison of the trainer is foolish because do you know what trainers look like? Trainers are not athletes, all right? They're not. But now there's a lot of trainers out there, equipment managers, all that and everything, that are athletes that have some game. That's just the deal. Matt has the physical ability to be able to perform. You're not the 280-pound equipment guy that is wrapping up sticks and jock straps and helmets and everything.
The physical part's not. I mean, once you can skip a jig and do all these different things and flip and pitch, because I mean, at that level, everybody can cast. Dean Rojas is not the only guy that can skip a frog. I'm sorry to inform the public and disappoint y'all. There's more guys on tour that can skip a frog. There's more guys that can sight fish than Shaw. There's more. I'm not saying that they're not great at it or some of the best at those techniques. They are. I'm just saying that everyone is very well rounded at that level, and you figure that out when you get there. But with that being said, with most of the guys being somewhat equal at that, the only thing that changes is the decision making. But you see that's what you can't do. You can't understand how Barry Bonds' muscles work when he's hitting home runs. I mean, you can't grow that, in your body, but you can visualize and see the decision making and why they're making it. You see what I'm saying?
Fair.
I mean, you've learned all that.
Fair. But to be in that process, the longer you do it and the more you do it, would you not agree? The best anglers build on each decision they make. And when they're making that decision, and you've heard them talk about it, it seems easy. You don't even consciously, in my opinion, if you're consciously thinking about your decisions, you're in trouble.
Right.
It's when you go out and you're like, how did everyone not have 15 pounds? It's because you made a series of decisions that built on each other, and when you made a wrong decision, you realized it was wrong, and the first inkling that you had when it was wrong, you didn't push it any further. So the best guys in the world are able to string together good decisions and not let one bad decision during the day derail the entire day and send them down a wormhole to oblivion.
Yeah.
Is that not a fair statement?
No, he's 100% right on that. But the fact of the matter is, have you not seen what guys have done from a decision-making process that you can learn from?
No, I 100% have. But I have not had the years of experience stringing together those good decisions. And it's different. I fished a year of the Opens in 15 and got smoked. I fished a couple of the BASS National Championships, which is big for the people in it, and the Costas last year. But last year was the first year that I was a championship where I had, quote, meaningful decisions with thousands of dollars on the line. That's 1 year that I've done that, as opposed to a Jeff Creed, a Jason Christie,
This is all I'm saying. I'm not beating you up on this deal. I'm just saying that Crete is right about this. That you can't play that card like you're in the blind, like you're blindfolded.
The novice category.
You're in the dark on this deal.
When it comes to those decision making, I
had this conversation with you on our way to Las Vegas the first year when you and I went out to the U.S. Open together, and you fished as a co-angler or a
AAA.
Yeah. That you. Because you were really considering this, the 2 years previous to that, you had spent a lot of time fishing. And dude, there is no. So yes, you were correct. With all the stuff that you've seen, all the things you've learned, there's still no substitute for time on the water. There is none. Yeah. And it took you that time on the water, but you were putting that time in those years leading up to that. And I had this discussion with you going out there. I said, dude, I mean, you honestly are privileged with information that nobody walking this planet has got. I mean, I haven't got to do it. Dean Rojas hadn't. I mean, none of us have got to do and see what you've got to see. You've seen it all of it, during a 1 week, and then every week after week, different guys, the decisions they're making, what they're throwing, how they're throwing it, what the body of water looks like whenever, where the sweet spot looks like at the end when it's all going down. It's obvious to you. You've sit and watched it all week, and so it's like, well, yeah, but to get to that point is extremely hard to do out of 100-something thousand acre lake.
All right, one thing to add on that, what people need to take into consideration in this discussion is Matt and I, when we were out there on the road for all those years, we got to talk to these guys
absolutely
off the record.
Absolutely.
So there was so much information that Matt and I learned that never got posted, never got recorded, never got written, of which that added to the experience that those guys were going through that would help our experience.
Right. And you had Harold for a long period of time. So you had an angler that was extremely experienced with lots of knowledge and history. And so if you're just sitting in the boat with him and you're watching Bobby Lane fish, you can turn to Harold and go, okay, why is this working like this? Because I don't understand. Harold will be like, well, it's this, and this, right? I mean, I know that went down a lot.
You can't take away from the factual information that typically Matt has an enormous amount of experience, knowledge, and just being in the trenches than the guy that's the typical weekend guy. Agree?
Yeah. Dude, it's exactly why Jason said what he said at the end of y'all's challenge. Exactly. It would be the same comment I'd make too. Like, dude, I'm not surprised. I mean, I know you can fish. You know what I mean? Like, I know that. When I came here, when he showed up there, he knew that possibility was there. It's fishing. And he knew you could fish. He knew you weren't going to go out there and suck. He knew that. So, like, if the fishing, if they were going to bite, he knew he had to catch them.
I know. I mean, I also would have put myself, if I knew it was 100% chance that I would just get absolutely obliterated, I wouldn't have put myself in that position. I mean, I'm not just going to, like, toss myself to the wolves.
He's going to play this card all the way to the end.
Oh, wait. You'll see.
Yeah. All right, we're going to do this. Let's take a break.
You understand what I'm saying, though?
I do.
Yes. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot of tricks. But if you're not able to take what you've seen and what you've learned, even if no one else has that ability, and then apply it to your own and develop your own system and style out of it, then you just got a bunch of stuff swirling around in your head.
I totally get it, dude. I totally get it.
Let's take a break. We have more questions on the instant feedback. Good show so far here on a Tuesday. We'll be right back. Everybody stay tuned.
For the best combination of value and performance is over. It ends with Elite TI2. From high-res views of active imaging to mapping in real time with Genesis Live, the high-powered performance of Elite TI2 continues to dominate. And now, wirelessly share sonar waypoints and routes between TI2 displays. Get up to $200 cash back when you purchase a Lowrance Elite TI2 or Hook Reveal display. Visit Lowrance.com/offers for details.
Yeah, you care about gear ratios, inches per turn, and ball bearings, but most importantly, you want reliability and dependability in the equipment you use. Luz doesn't cut corners when it comes to the gear they build. The new Speed Spool LFS is the best $99 reel in the market. Go see for yourself.
We've paired one of the most iconic hulls in the history of bass boats with a proven lineup of trusted accessories. We're bringing you best-in-class value and performance, leaving others in your wake. Turnkey value, turnkey performance. The Pantera 2 is an overachiever in the 19-foot category. Once you hit the throttle, you'll feel the rush, and there's no looking back.
Kevin, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just filling in for Billy.
I need a 660 shad crankbaits in the Series 5 model.
We're out.
You're not out. You got all kinds of them right there.
We're out.
Kevin, I need 6.
Have a lollipop.
I do not want a lollipop.
Have a lollipop.
Do you have it the sexy shad color?
At Duckett Fishing, we have assembled the top pros in the country to help us design rods to give you a competitive advantage. Castability, strength, durability, action, sensitivity, weight and balance, and consistency. Combine that with the best warranty in the industry, and you have rods that are pro-driven.
Duckett Fishing, pro-driven.
I want to share to you a new product we got coming out from Sunline. This is the FC leader size spools that we have now. We've gotten a lot of requests for this. A lot of you guys use fluorocarbon for leaders only, myself included. And one of the problems you have is when you have a 200-yard spool, that might last you 2, 3, 4 years. You might even lose it before you even get done with the spool. So we've gone to a little smaller spool. These are 50-yard spool sizes. You know, that way you're not holding your line on forever. You can keep your line fresh, use it when you can, stores real easily in the boat. We got all of our popular line sizes that you're used to with our Sniper from 5 to 14 pound. If you guys are looking for a line that you're only tying for a leader, go check out Sunline FC Leader 100% fluorocarbon and give it a try.
Damn Texans.
All right, we are back on a Tuesday with Bradley Hallman in studio. Once again, our thoughts are with the Horton family, and hopefully his mom will have a quick recovery. And then Shaw Grigsby having surgery too. I don't know if you saw that. He made the post. Yeah, he has kidney cancer.
Really?
So yeah, he was having surgery this morning, and hopefully Shaw will recover fine. And man, just a lot of things going on with a lot of people in the world of bass fishing right now. All right, let's go to the instant feedback real quick. Let's see here. Brett in Louisiana wants to know, what changes are you making to the BFE?
Prototype changes.
Yeah.
Honestly, we're trying to make this bait, just like what I've said in the beginning, it's trying to make it to where it'll go coast to coast. I want to be able to flip it in the grass mats to Florida, to bushes in Oklahoma, all the way out to California Delta. I want this thing to be the best flipper ever, the BFE. What is required for some of the mats, what we got to noticing is the straight shank hook, guys. When we're flipping this thing on braid and big weight, with the straight shank hook, I think it needs that cut through the ribs, you know, so that the hook will be able to slide through easier. If you're flipping with an EWG style or with fluorocarbon, or you're flipping bushes or trees, it's not as big a deal. But definitely when we get down to the mats, the braid, even using smaller hooks like a 4/0, some of the guys even like to go 3/0, even though it's smaller in the bait, just because it allows that bait to go through the mat easier without having that hook sticking out. So that's something that we're definitely changing on the prototype there, is it'll have that slit on the cut where the hook comes through on the hook side.
All right, very nice. Once again, don't forget, click on the link on the main page and submit your entry. All right, Jay Pinion in Kansas City wants to know, when you're pitching grass, do you use a jig, a Texas rig, a Tokyo rig? What determines your choice?
That's a tough one. I would say 90% of the time I'm flipping some type of plastic Texas rigged. I do like that big jig in certain places. I don't get to fish Florida this time of year right now, but like from right now into June, this is when they flip and catch them really good on that big jig down there, that double weed guard. Texas, the big grass lines, you know, that we used to all hear about, dude. That big jig was bad.
That's bushes. You'll flip. You're not afraid to flip a jig.
100%. I flip jigs and bushes. Yep.
He was talking about grass.
He's talking about grass though. So like deep hydrilla, outside hydrilla lines, you know, places that have 15, 20 foot outside grass lines in the summer.
Yeah.
I love that big jig.
And then what do they like to do in Texas a lot on those outside grass lines with soft plastics?
Carolina rig.
Yes, you know that, Bradley.
You'd be a great team partner. I could just flip it, and you could throw down the outside edge.
We would whack.
Not
them.
on Thunderbird though.
No.
It would be you catching them and Mark going, "Lucky fish, 1 of 5 in the lake."
Well, no, I'd be pulling up auto parts and tires and maybe even a body or two.
I like Brad got the Mark cam going at the
that was pretty funny.
The last Thunderbird
mud hole.
Jeffries cannot go fishing without throwing some type of topwater. You're throwing a topwater on Thunderbird.
It's amazing. He's kind of been the yin to my yang. We've been fishing partners during the Corona.
It's the most I've fished in 10 years.
It works well for both of us because both of us have really followed the rules and been pretty isolated. So
Dave wants to know, and Bradley, you might be able to touch on this, the whole situation with how guys usually sell their boats at the end of the year. I know some of the pros, they already have their boats sold to a lot of people. How is that going to affect you and maybe some of the other guys that order their new boats and typically they sell them in the fall when it looks like you guys are going to be fishing a bunch in the fall? Probably haven't even thought about that, have you?
Wow.
I really hadn't thought about it, but I can say that I'm going to be right on time because I just got my new boat not too long ago, and I just got my other one cleaned up and ready to sail, so I'll be right on schedule.
You'll be fine.
Speaking of which,
but seriously, for a lot of other guys though, that becomes an issue.
It's going to change when they order boats. It's going to have to now. I say that the guys at Phoenix listen to this and they're going to be like, "Oh, shut up." They're going to want to do their boat orders because they like to get the pro boats done around that Christmas time, and this is when they really start jamming those.
Is this a good year to buy a BPT Elite Series or Tour Guys boat? Like, I would think.
Heck yeah.
I would think this would be if you're going to buy Cliff Crochet's boat, I would imagine that a year that he has it run it through, depending on how many, if they don't make the events up.
All right.
I'm not saying he doesn't take care of his boat. I'm just saying he's down there Pierre Part and he likes to
Mark and I have
fast.
Big economy conversations while we're on the water sometimes, and the fact that they have low hours on them is not going to have it. It's going to be minimal compared to the other issues we have in this world.
It's definitely going to be a buyer's market, though.
It will be.
Yeah,
I have
no matter what.
I have 1 of your lower units in the back of my truck for the past 3 weeks, and I keep forgetting to leave it.
Sweet.
Do not remind me after the show.
I love running into extra lower units. I didn't know I had.
Why is it in your truck?
He had some work done, and with the social distancing and everything that's closed, it was like left on a curb that I had to pick up. And
some guy took it to fish a tournament and met another guy to give it to him. It's a great story.
Ben makes the point: how hard is the supply chain going to be for boat manufacturers? That could be. I mean, it's
everything about this is going to be hard on boat manufacturers.
Yeah. They're not immune. No, I mean it's they'll the
be
same way.
They'll be the hardest hit in our industry, no doubt. They will be.
Yeah. Unrelated, totally unrelated, but on the news they're talking about there could be a shortage of meat because of all the meat processing plants. More people are getting sick.
Pork.
Pork. The employees that are working the environment they're working are real close to each other, and a lot of them are sick. And so they're closing down because they can't work because of the environment they're working in, and so therefore the meat shortage is coming, and the run on meat and the price of meat goes up.
Yeah. The biggest thing with the boat companies, and you said that the Phoenix guys listen to this, I truly believe, and we've discussed this, that the biggest thing the boat companies are going to have to overcome is their cash position and their debt to equity. How much debt are they going to be able to service that debt because of the situation, and how much debt is the consumer now willing to absorb with those monthly payments, and so it's challenging. Everything is challenging this year.
It's going to be extremely challenging.
Yeah.
So you prefer a jig in the deep grass?
Hey, that's the beauty of this show. We kind of go all over the place. All right, real quick. Steve from Des Moines wants to know why I have a vintage Black Flag record on the wall. He said, what's the story behind that? Quick story, that is a limited release that was done, I think, back in 78, 70. No, it was maybe 80. It's called The Process of Weeding Out. And it's an instrumental, and I had the pleasure of hanging with Greg Ginn and Keith Morris when I was a kid for a long time in the whole LA punk scene. So yeah, I was really into that. And that's one of the special things that I actually got that from Greg Ginn of Black Flag. And anyway, I was a rebel back then and had a mohawk, and we've talked about this.
You didn't have a mohawk.
Oh yeah, dude.
Did you dress it all black?
No,
you were
I wasn't
straight edge.
Goth.
You were straight edge.
Straight edge with the mohawk, all about playing sports and listening to Black Flag and all the other LA punk bands.
You were a scary guy.
It was pretty. Oh, and here, I'm going to go ahead and tease it. All right. Matt, I haven't told you this. I haven't told you this, folks. I'm telling you right now, we talk a lot of stuff about our personal lives. If this is true, and this is the biggest tease maybe of the season, something has happened to me that if it's true, it is unbelievable. All right. And Matt, you can kind of get an idea of what it's about. All right, it has to do with my father. All right? Yeah, as his eyes perk up. About who my father is potentially, supposedly.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think you've ever gone down that route
blew
on
me
BTL.
away. No, I'm adopted, all right? Yep. I didn't find out that I was adopted until I was 40 years old, and it was lucky that I even found that out. Met my mom. And you know where my mom lives? She lives on Clear Lake, of all places. Yep. All right. Took the family out there, met my mom a couple years ago, but she would not tell me who my father is. Well, we're like 95% sure who it is. Wow. But I'm not going to say anything about it until I actually get an opportunity to talk to the guy's son. He has a son and a daughter. He is dead. He passed away 10 years ago. His wife passed away. He was married for a long time, but a crazy story if it's true.
I gotta be honest.
So that's a big time tease right there.
The other three options from 2 or 3 years ago were all crazy too.
Yeah, no. I will show you two the picture of the guy, and you'll go, holy moly. Really? Yeah, he was 6'3", 235 pounds.
Redhead?
No, my mom had. Yeah, my birth mom had.
You look
hair.
just like your birth mom.
Yeah,
like it's scary.
Yeah,
like that. Do this. Do that.
No,
that's exactly what I mean. It's like, oh yeah, that's Mark's mom.
Yeah,
she's got a great story too.
Yeah,
it's all. Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, you went deep there. You went really deep,
dude.
There.
Great. Well, it falls back to my childhood back there when I was immersed in Black Flag and the adolescence.
Black Flag took you back there to that story.
Well, yeah, So there you have Steve from Des Moines.
All right.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. So
Matt and I were both like,
honestly, I'm keeping my fingers crossed that the story is true because it is fascinating.
Bill Dance.
It's not, no. Bill Dance is a little bitty dude. Come on, man. Orlando Wilson. No, it wasn't Orlando Wilson. Wow. I tried to track down Orlando.
Lori Rapala.
Can't find him. He when he quit doing his show, he was a banker, and he became owner of a couple of banks in Georgia, and then there's a few articles out there about him. How old would
he be now?
70s, I think. 70s, maybe. I late 70s. I don't know. So if anybody out there has any other info on Orlando, I that's a path I would really like to go down. That was my favorite, and here's what people don't understand: he wasn't that well liked amongst his peers. All right, that I have discovered in trying to track him down and talking to people and all that. There was some animosity between certain individuals on that, and he wasn't that respected as a tournament angler. But I really liked his TV show. I thought his TV show was cool, but I was diving down the I'll take anything path, and kind of
weren't we all?
I had a following of that outdoor block on Sundays that we've talked about for a zillion years. But anyway, Steve from Des Moines, there you have it, diving into my life, and can't wait to. I totally forgot to show you guys the pictures. It's amazing.
The black flag too.
All right, let's see here. Jeez. What will organizations change to limit their dependency on parts or manufacturing from overseas? You know, here's the thing about this industry from a business standpoint. So many things are claiming that they're American-made. Yes, the vast majority of the whatever is made in America, but some of those accessories, some of those parts do come from overseas. I think you're going to see a dramatic shift over time that eliminates the dependency on suppliers from overseas. All right, and I mean, we could go super deep into it, and I don't want to do that, but it's a simple matter of the price that they're paying for these accessories and the cost to produce in the United States. So that's kind of a basic answer.
It would be
on
interesting.
That.
I was having a conversation with Dave Rush, and he said he wants to go through a tournament boat and take everything out that was made or has components made overseas and then go fishing. He's like, you'd have an empty boat.
Really? Huh. What are you doing, Bradley?
I was checking the YouTube because you guys never do.
No, he was doing it.
You're on that.
Yeah, he was doing it.
I thought he was checking the other.
Yeah. He was doing it.
Yeah, I even asked a couple questions on it. We said last week, I said, listen, I said, I'm going to pull up the YouTube comments. Jeffries has the
I'm behind the
BTL
times.
comments on the website. And when something pertinent comes through here, I'll bring it into the discussion.
One of the guys in there put the slump buster as this Cinco. There's some truth to that.
Do you think, Blaine in Arizona wants to know, do you think that there will be a major impact with no ICAST this year to the industry? What do you think, Bradley?
Man, you and I had a lot of conversation about ICAST, didn't
Yeah.
we? Because this is kind of what we think about sometimes. But you know, it was going to be very hard on the tournament organizations if ICAST still tried to go on, right?
Yeah.
We talked about that.
Yeah.
It was impossible for it to happen. So I guess none of this answers the question he's asking. Does it impact the industry? You know, we were talking about, I think that everybody just finds different venues and ways to market and put out new product as opposed to showing up at a show and saying and unveiling at a show.
Yeah.
You know, there's other vehicles to do that, and I believe that's what you're really going to see some creativity in that in 2020.
Yeah. Matt, any thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think we've seen how important the Classic is kind of like a baby ICAST now. And I feel like that has really evolved since I've started covering this sport to where it used to just be where you go to buy your stuff at the Classic Expo, but now there's a lot of unveilings at the Classic Expo because they realized that there's an opportunity there that wasn't ICAST where they could stand out. And then, I mean, you're also seeing like stuff like the project we're working on and stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, just creative ways to unveil new baits and get it out to the public where you actually kind of understand more about what's behind it instead of booth baits. So
100%.
I think there's a lot of people that'll figure out creative ways to get their product out and utilize the pros.
The companies are going to save a ton of money. We talked about that, right?
Yeah.
Because it costs a lot of money for people to go to ICAST.
It does. And you know, the organization that puts it on, they're going to lose a lot of money.
They are.
All right, we're going to take another break. Come back. More questions on the instant feedback. Fill it up here on a Tuesday. Everybody stay tuned.
Let's face it, fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
Blue Water by TH Marine. Offering LED lighting solutions for your boat, trailer, truck, ATV, and so much more. Engineered and built to be rugged with waterproof and submersible options. Designed for easy installation, Blue Water is available in a variety of colors and styles. All backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Blue Water by TH Marine.
The name SPRO says it all. SPRO stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that SPRO has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, one got it just then. From the development of the rock crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Papa to the Little John series, when you tie a SPRO bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done. While I travel the country on the Bassmaster Elite Series, I simply can't let the weather be the reason I don't win $100,000. That's why I use AFCO clothing to keep me warm, dry, and protected from whatever Mother Nature wants to throw at me. My season depends on it. My career depends on it. AFCO, any fish, any water.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
The Big Bite Baits Kamikaze Swim-On is a very unique bait, and it's got a full body but with ribs to give it a bigger profile but not more plastic. It's got a jointed tail that gives it a lot of action, as well as this up and down crawl type trail with holes and ribs in it, so it creates a bubble trail almost. This bait is supposed to be fished upside down or vertical like this on a great for a chatterbait. I prefer it on a swim jig as well, but you can also cut it down and put it on the back of a finesse jig. You know, flip it around for some spotted bass or flipping docks. Anytime you want a small, compact, you know, little trailer for it, this is great for it. So check out the full lineup of swim-ons at bigbitebaits.com.
All right, we are back. Brad Hallman in studio. And we're going to continue to go to the instant feedback. Let's see here. Brad, I want to ask you this, and I've got to get this queued up here. Has this break really been good for you from a confidence standpoint? Everything that we've talked about on this show just seems like everything comes back to the mental game. All right, being mentally prepared. Are you mentally prepared that whenever this stuff kicks off, that you're just going to be able to be dialed in and ready to get after it? What are your thoughts?
It's going to be hard on us because they're going to try to fit every single event in, and the schedule that I had consisted of from Florida to New York to Texas to, it's going to be pretty crowded. I mean, Matt knows exactly what I'm talking about. So that part is going to be a grind. The fact that I've been through a bunch of grinds, I feel confident about that. Man, I've got an uphill battle before we even started this year. I mean, I'm perfectly aware of the uphill battle that I had in front of me. So putting it into a shorter deal probably makes it better for someone like me. I feel like that's an advantage on my side. Yep.
All right. Definitely going to be tough, though. But the time that you've had off, all right, forget about the mental part, the physical part now, and the preparation and technique in your game, has that gotten better?
No. I mean, we haven't really worked on that. What I've been working on is what we've been talking about, you know. But look how far I've come. I mean, so we talk about all the struggles that I did. Yeah. Dude, I have learned dude, I fly on Vegas Pro. Think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm doing things that I never dreamed, and without this happening,
Yeah.
there's no way. Nate and I were talking about it last night, and he was like, dude, if you'd have been fishing tournaments and stuff and been running the roads, he was like, you would have 1 week and then you would have been done. There would have been no way you could have
That's a
done this.
great point.
And so it's allowed me to pick up a new trade, basically, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and craft and work on it to where it's actually going to be functional that I can use on the road now.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, Rich in Connecticut wants to know, when's your favorite time to use a swim jig?
Favorite time to use a swim jig? Shad spawn, which Mark and I
post spawn.
Yep, post spawn. Post spawn period. And then anytime I get some type of water, willow is the best probably. So any river systems or any place that have water willow where fish live pretty shallow will stain. Those are definitely my 2 favorite times.
When was the first time you used a swim jig? Can you remember?
But when I say all this, I'm just talking about like that kind of fishing. But then there's also, you know, Brian Schmidt, one of my roommates for the last 3 or 4 years, by far one of the greatest swim jig fishermen on the planet. And he opened my eyes to a whole different way and style that quite honestly is conducive for any time of year. It honestly
Would
is.
you say a lot of the swim jig experts use a lighter swim jig than the average guy?
You know, it depends on their style of fishing and what their fisheries are like. You know, if they fish shoreline grass or shoreline visible cover, no. If they fish submerged grass, stuff that's not visual, yes.
Because it seems like Schmidt and like Tom Monsoor and stuff, you don't ever hardly see them out there throwing around a 5/8 or a half ounce. It's always, or Bill Lowen's another one. It's always like a 1/4 ounce.
Lowen's even a little different because he's throwing his a lot. I mean, he throws it everywhere, but I mean, where he comes from was a wood, rock, bank related where most guys would be throwing heavier ones. The only difference is the Ohio River is such a hard place to get a bite. I'm sure he figured out by lightening it up he could get more bites in a place like that.
All right, this is out there, and I don't know if anybody's ever done this. I'm sure lab researchers and engineers have done this, but the difference in fall rate in the water between a 1/4 ounce jig and a 1/2 ounce jig and a 3/4 ounce jig, is that a measurable thing, or is it more just a confidence that you feel more confident flipping that 3/4 ounce swim jig around a boat dock? Or how quickly does that jig fall as far as the difference between the 1/4 and the 3/4?
You know, the number one question I think pro anglers gets, what's your favorite color jig? What's your favorite color worm? And we're always, you've heard the same thing for years, color doesn't matter to us a whole lot. We like black and blues, green pumpkins. The weight fall?
Yeah.
Very important. Like, I'm not worried about what color my jig is. People ask you to throw the brown little LBJ, little brown jig in dirty water. I do all the time. Maybe I change the trailer to black and blue or something, but that's all I'm changing. The weight and the fall is huge.
What is the difference in the fall rate?
It's the difference in getting bit and not getting bit.
Really?
That's the difference. And
So-
it changes throughout seasons and patterns, and I mean, there's all different circumstances, but 110%, yes.
Dude, but if they're feeding, I mean, do you think a 1/4 ounce jig, what did you throw that swim jig?
We're not
this
talking
past-
about every single fish in the lake. We're talking about, you know, do you want to catch 10 fish today or do you want to catch 30 fish today? That's the difference.
That's the difference because of the weight.
110%.
Okay.
Same thing with retrieve.
I would like to see what the difference in the fall rate is.
Those are the
Visibly.
things. Fall rates matter. Retrieve speeds matter.
Okay.
Actions of a retrieve matter. Those are the big things in fishing,
Let me-
not the color.
Let me ask you this. So when you're throwing an LBJ,
Yep.
you're fishing rock, you flip it up there, it goes down about 8 foot out of 20 feet and it stops. Are you going to go to a lighter LBJ? But because you say you pretty much throw the same weight on one. And then let me ask you this: when you have one,
So yes, you're correct. I do, but I change line sizes. If I'm fishing in 20 foot of water,
You go
it gets
heavier?
It gets thrown on a 10-pound test. It's a
Okay.
different jig with a different hook.
so when that jig goes to the bottom, hits the bottom, line goes slack, and you go, hits the bottom, boom, bite. That's your typical LBJ bite.
Right.
I mean, sometimes it's dragging. Do you think you drew that fish suspended somewhere on something off of that rock and it followed it down, nose down on it and ate it? Or do you think that fish was sitting on the bottom, that LBJ hits 5 feet from it, it turns, approaches, and eats it? Are you bringing the fish to the bait or are you bringing the bait to the fish?
You're asking me to describe a scenario that looks like Cumberland Lake that you totally understand, and apparently I do not.
No, it wasn't Cumberland at all.
But you're talking about up against a steep wall.
Yeah, it was like the deal with the The one-on-one versus Christie.
Okay.
That happened to me. I was sitting in 18 feet of water. You can watch that one bite.
The video that I'm watching that I saw, if you want my personal opinion of what happened in your video, is I believe those fish, I think they were sitting down there. I personally think they're sitting on beds, and you're pulling it off and you hit the bed. When you say 18 foot, your boat was in 18 foot, but the jig was not in 18
right.
foot. You know.
So when it is deep, though, do you think there's a lot of suspended fish on like a bluffy style bank that are then seeing it go past them, following it down, and then eating it?
That all depends on water clarity. 110% water clarity. If it's clear, they can come from a long ways and follow it. Yes. If it's dirty, no.
And will they be more likely to follow it than on a slower fall or a faster fall is what I'm saying. That's where I'm getting to the fall. Like, let's say you have a half-ounce jig that goes shoom and shoots past them. Do they stay at 10 foot if the jig's in 20? Whereas if it's a 5/16-ounce jig, it's kind of falling down, and they go, oh, what's that? And then they can kind of follow it down as it meanders down to the bottom.
We're talking about 52-degree water or 80-degree water. See, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, there's too many variables.
There's too many variables. But that is the difference, though. That's colder water, I like the slower falls,
LBJ 5/16.
It is, and that's when it shines. Usually it's in that 50-degree water frame, and
Never a 7 or an 11.
I throw the 7 some. It's more in the summer and more offshore, but I definitely throw the 7/16. Absolutely.
All right, so from the swim jig, back to the swim jig.
Yes, sir.
When the shad spawn's going on, is it a quarter? Is it a half? Is it 3/4? What's your preference?
Depends on what I'm fishing it on. If I'm fishing it on bank, it's probably closer to half. I want the bigger one.
Okay.
Both instances, I'm thinking there.
Why is that?
The half around boat docks and stalls is for skipping purposes. I want more weight to sling it, and the bank, the water willow, and that kind of stuff. You could get away with the quarter. I just like bigger weights. I can cast them further. I just have to hold my rod tip higher and pop it to keep it up if I want it to the surface. But I can also, with a half, I can let it go down another foot or two and get it a little deeper in the surf and under the water, which sometimes is a big deal.
This is an interesting question. Does a shad spawn happen any other time besides early morning?
Yeah. I used to think that it just happened at night, and that's what a lot of the anglers talked about. It happens at night. And you see that, this would be a great question for Texoma guides.
Yeah.
That'd be a great question for them, because they go out and they catch their shad before every day. They throw nets, and they
like
go out
3
early.
o'clock in the morning.
They go out at 3 or 4 in the morning sometimes, depending on when they have to catch their. Anyway, they would be a great person to ask. But I used to think that they just spawned at night. But man, if you really watch them and really pay attention to them, they like that. They definitely have to have shade. They like the shade, but they like the light. They like that very fine line of where the shade meets the light in the water. That's where they really, 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 really like.
Where's the sneakiest place that a shad spawn happens that people overlook? Because everyone's going to say boat docks, the bank grass, that the typical a bridge piling. Are there some
tire reefs?
Are there some sneaky spots where the shad really spawn?
I had a tournament at Texoma one year, Open or Costa one. It was, I don't know what day it was, but I was on playing C or D. I mean, it was one of those days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're on playing C or D. And I absolutely crushed them in the back of a flat spawning bay on a shad spawn. It was a fluke. I have no idea, but for me, I wasn't looking for it there. I went in there because I knew there had been spawning fish in there, and it was still early in the morning. It was probably about 10 o'clock, but it was a cloudy day, and the birds were diving in the back, and I knew that it wasn't but like 1.5 feet deep back there, and I'm like, why are the birds diving back there in 1.5 feet of water? So I go back there, and I'm chunking something around. I'm like, it looks like a shad spawn. Like, why would they be? So I picked up a spinnerbait just to see if they'd follow it. And I'm not talking about the fish, no, it's shad. Yeah. First cast, just shad everywhere. And I'm like, okay. So I threw a few more casts, and I didn't get bit. I'm like, let's find something else to match better back here. And I don't remember if I swam the jig. I think I ended up picking a square bill crankbait up and just throttled them. Smallmouth, stripers, largemouth, spotted bass. Everything was on fire.
You call that the National Geographic moments.
Yeah.
You get those every once in a while.
It was.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I had like 19 or 20 pounds. I mean, just throttled them in there.
In 1.5 feet of water. And what were they spawning? What were they spawning on? Open water?
They were running up on the bank.
Yeah. Really?
They were acting like blueback herring kind of.
Would you see the fish just?
Yeah, I mean, you would actually see fish like pushing. I mean,
like redfish.
It was crazy.
That's cool. Have you ever seen it again?
No, not like that. Not in the back of a bay of a pocket. No.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Yep. That was a strange.
So you
place.
think they came from post spawn? Those fish did.
So this is what happened. I know what was going on there because I understand Texoma and I know this place pretty well. There was a really big spawning bay for largemouth, okay, and smallmouth. It's a really good fishing area anyway, and they were in there. Like I found some fish, had some bites in there in practice, days prior to that, just flipping. It's got a little rock shelf like you're talking about, but it only comes down to about 2 or 3 foot as you go into it. Those were spawning fish. I could tell by the way they were biting my bait that they were spawners. And I couldn't see them, but that's what they were. So this place had a lot of that going on. And then I guess as it starts to warm, those fish were either post-spawn, pre-spawn, the mixture of all of them. And then with the natural magic and lights and the big show tent goes up and the shad start doing their deal, they were like, well, we're here and you're here, so we're eating. No doubt that's what happened.
All right, nets or no nets?
I am a no-net guy.
Really?
Yeah, and I've spent time at the FLW Tour and I spent time at the Elite Series, so we didn't have nets at the Elite Series. We have the FLW Tour. 6 years at the Elite Series, I can tell you guys that on one hand, five times, no more than 5 times do I think in 6 years, and we were fishing 11 tournaments back then a lot, do I think that I could have landed a fish if I would have had a net.
Brad, you also have to remember, doesn't typically use lower than 17-pound test back in those days.
Yeah.
One event, it may have cost me, it was, I might have been able to win Lake Murray. I finished 4th or 5th in that event in the Elite Series, and that's the one where Rambanus won.
Yeah.
I might have been able to win that event if I had a net. I had one fish in the boat, in my arm, a big one. And I just picked her up and she had that Seville, and she waddled just a little bit and I was right on the side of the boat and she came right out of my arms, the Seville right out of her mouth, and 5.5 pounder right back in the drink. A net, she would have been in the boat. And I had 3 or 4 fish that week, but everybody did.
Wow.
We were all losing them with that Seville.
Wow. Jim in Dallas, do you know Jim Dillingham? Name ring a bell?
Yes, sounds familiar.
Yeah, he said he was in the North Oklahoma City Bass Club in the early 2000s.
Yeah, the name sounds very
familiar.
Yeah,
I recognize the name too. He wants to know, do you still have your Tennessee baseball cap?
Yeah, I still got a bunch of Tennessee hats.
Yeah.
Yep.
Don't wear them though?
No. I even took the family there. We went to Knoxville and played.
Yeah.
And that was the big thing. What was I going to wear when I went back to Neyland Stadium? But I wore crimson and cream with my entire family. So.
Does Oklahoma City still have a tackle show? He wants to know that too.
I believe they do.
In
it's named something
January?
different. They had.
I know they have a couple boat shows that have some tackle rooms at them at the Fair Expo, but I don't know. They've got to have. Yeah, they got to have it. They have a tackle show.
I was trying to think the guy that put it on, and I can't remember his name.
Well, I know Nick Sadler does the boat show.
Yeah,
but there are 2 boat shows this year.
Yeah, there's been 2 boat shows for a while. So there was the original one, which was that's just all complicated. All the boat owners or the boat dealerships around here, they had a group that they were a part of, and they put on the original one. And then as business goes, you have falling outs, and so then other groups go do their own thing. And so now there's 2 boat shows.
Cannot remember the guy's name. He fishes team tournaments. He's been around forever.
Nick Sadler does too.
Yeah,
but I don't think Sadler does the tackle show.
No. I cannot remember the guy's name. Anyway, we'll go from there. All right, man. Great show today. We got into all kinds of stuff. I just want to summarize. Go ahead and tell people what they need to do once again to enter the color contest.
Well, you can go on Bass Zone's website, click on the
banners are everywhere.
Yeah,
if you can't find the banner, we've got problems.
Definitely.
It's a giant banner, and then the social medias for us takes you to the Big Bite website. Yep. Come up with a creative name, a creative color. If you've ever wanted to always have a color named after you, named after whatever, and whatever color you wanted in that BFE flip and submit it. May 6th. It closes. If you win, come on BTL, get 500 of those baits.
May end up being my favorite color. Who knows? Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be cool.
Like, dude, that's the color.
That would be very cool. All right, Bradley, thanks for filling in with the unfortunate situation that Tim Horton's dealing with. Our thoughts are with him and Shaw Grigsby. Tomorrow, Boyd Duckett. First time he's been on the show in a long time. Ton of questions for the man behind Major League Fishing. some of their plans, and I know they want to get in as many tournaments as they can, so maybe we can get some insight on what the plan is for the remainder of the season for Major League Fishing. And then, folks, we're going to give back to the fans with this little contest that I have structured. We're going to test it out this week, and then hopefully next week we can do that too. So a lot going on. Everybody out there, be safe. We're back at you tomorrow. That's it. We're out of here.